Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, sir. And so I got rank 51st this time. Sociology was my optional, and this was my second attempt. And I was a student of elite, and I'd be briefly discussing about how sociology as my optional helped me gain the desired rank. And largely I'll be talking about general studies, GS, how to go about it, what are the mistakes to be avoided, what books to be read, and most importantly, what not to read. So to begin with, in sociology, I've got 301 score, and I think going by what sir tells me is that anything above 300 is a good one. So I believe I've got good scores, and I try to be humble when I say that, but then at the same time I feel very, very proud of scoring whatever little marks I have. So to begin with, if we were to talk about the optional itself, so sociology, much like other optionals, has two papers, where paper 1 deals with some archaic issues, where you have to talk about thinkers and international thinkers, basically Marxian theories, and then Weber, etc. The paper 2 syllabus has a good overlap with your GS. It deals with contemporary India, it deals with politics and caste. So some of the very pressing issues which you will find very relevant in GS paper 1 as well as GS paper 3. There are topics on environment, ecology, and how it is hampering the society. So, and that actually was one of the motivations for having chosen sociology. The other reason why I chose it was because I believe it's a safe bet with sociology. So let us say if you take a science optional, for example physics, if you solve a question correctly, you end up getting, let's say, 10 on 10 or whatever the maximum marks might be. But if you get it incorrect somewhere midway, you end up getting a 0. But in sociology, there is no black and white. If you have an understanding on a certain issue, you will be able to get average, if not, exceptional marks. So somewhere I felt that was a safe bet. And talking about how I prepared for sociology, so as I mentioned, I enrolled with Elite for the sociology test series and all the content that sir would give me. I was based out of Lucknow, so most of our interactions were online. And here I must mention that sir has been very, very consistent throughout my preparation regime. I remember one day very distinctly, and it was very unprofessional of me, in fact. I called him up on Diwali because somehow I was facing a doubt, and it was something that was really troubling me. So sir was kind enough to take my call on the eve of Diwali and help me with my doubt. So this was something that was unprecedented for me as well. I had joined other online test series, etc. also, but nowhere did I get this kind of help. So the answer sheets that we would send to Elite, it was ensured that we got a detailed feedback. So very briefly, I just talk about, so this was one of my test series, and perhaps the highest I got, 149.5, not to mention. So here, sir would always tell me that write your test in real exam-like conditions. So in your actual exam, there'll be 2 papers, 3 hours each, with a gap of 2 hours. So in this, apart from your knowledge, what is also tested is your stamina. I mean, it's December and it's pretty cold. It was pretty cold in Lucknow. You have to write for 3 hours, and then after 2 hours, you have another 3-hour paper. So you have to make sure that you build that stamina. You have to make sure that you have done considerable answer writing, so that when you see a familiar question. So I think here optional differs slightly from GS. In GS, you can have some unexpected questions. So if you see last year's paper GS2, there was a question on McBride Commission. I mean, this was something that most of the candidates were caught unaware of. Very few might have even heard of it, let alone writing an answer on it. So, but in optional, it is pretty, you can predict the paper somehow. And as the saying in sociology is, to know is to predict, and to predict is to control. So if you are able to predict your paper, you'll be able to control your marks. I would very often mention, sir, that I just want 300 marks in sociology. Somehow just get me 300. Somehow I should get 300. Thankfully, I got a good 301. So this is the predictable part of the paper. Do thorough answer writing. make sure that you get detailed feedback, and then you happen to improve on it. I would get my answer copies checked from sir within 10 days. So that would help me improve my performance in the next test. I can use that feedback to improve my answer writing further, and that really helped. And then, as mentioned before, try to write in real-time answer conditions. My answer sheet, sir would even tell me that, draw margins, leave this much space below, try to fill up there are fixed space answer sheets, you all must be knowing. So, try to fill them up. It creates a good impression on the minds of the examiner. And I think after having got my marks, I completely agree with it. So, I think these are some hacks which only, a seasoned teacher can give you from the benefit of his own experience over the years. So, it really benefited me. And I tell you, if I was to tell you my scorecard, optional was what that got me 51 rank. So in GS also I've got good marks. I've got 427. Essay also I've got 147. Interview was 179. Again, very, I would say, average. If you see the top 90 ranks, these are average scores. But in optional was where I got a lead ahead of others. So it really helped me. And I would really insist, be it sociology or whatever might be your optional, give it all the due attention that it requires. Read the standard textbook and practice answer writing a lot. A lot. Paper 1, paper 2, they all deserve equal attention. You will get good marks if you work hard. That is a given. And take the feedback seriously. It really helps you in the long run. And yeah, that is about sociology.